Hello everyone, welcome to my session. My session will be about deploying real Azure Stack HCI solutions with WSLab. And I would like to show you that WSLab is not only for the labs. So the name WSLab is confusing a little bit because it's not for labs only, it's also for production. My name is Jaromir and welcome to my session. So maybe you heard about me. I'm active in the community. I'm active in the Slack. I'm replying to the people, and maybe someone thought that I don't have any family or anything like that. But it's different. I have a big family. I have 3 kids already. I have 4 horses, 1 big dog, and beautiful wife. And the great thing about this, my wife let me to work at night sometimes, so I can write all these scripts for you. I'm working in Microsoft. I'm working as a PFE, Premier Field Engineer. It means that I'm at the customers. So now I'm recording this session because it's being played. So David is playing this on you. We are together watching now live stream from the YouTube, but actually it was pre-recorded, so I'm watching with you probably somewhere. And this is why I can chat now with you. So I'm WSLab author, obviously. And let's talk about my work. Okay, so what's WSLab? You will just type WSLab into your Bing or Google or anything like that, and it will guide you and it will let you go to the GitHub page where you will find all the videos and all the text about how WSLab is amazing and how you can use it. So it's just a bunch of script. WSLab is a bunch of script that is hosted there on the GitHub, right? You will find it in the zip file, you will find the source code and everything. And I hope it will change your life if you will start using it. And I think if you started to use the WSLab, I think it already changed your life. So my life, it was definitely changed. Before that, before I start scripting, I didn't born like that, right? I didn't know PowerShell a lot, like I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when I started with WSLab. I actually started with WSLab when the nested virtualization was announced, and I finally was able to run VMs inside a VM. So I was able to simulate real infrastructure. So I fine-tuned all the scripts, and I was writing it over and over and just trying to figure out how to make things better. And this way I was learning. So this was my path to learn better scripting, just to try to improve something. And when I had this WSLab solution to be able to quickly uh, build some machines that I could use, I started to write something I call scenarios. So these scenarios are just a walkthrough if you have some lab and what to do now with the lab. You have like 4 machines that are domain joined. So what to do next, right? You want to configure it somehow, and you don't want to click it. You want to use some code that anyone else can use, right? Or you can save it for documentation. So this is why I started writing something I call scenarios. So WSLab, it's not only the lab, right? It has so many scenarios. I wrote like 50 of them already that you can use it. You can start, studying it. You can spin it inside a lab, right? But you can also use it the same way as you can use it in the lab. You can use it the same way for the production environments. So you can grab the ideas from there. You can grab the piece of code. You don't have to use everything, right? You can use just the small pieces, just glue it together to your solution that fits your scenario, that fits your infrastructure. And this way, I would like to show you how to, for example, use um, uh, S3 hyperconverged scenario, which is the first one I wrote, for deploying the real stuff you have on your network. So, for example, imagine that you have a service, freshly domain joined S3 service. I don't know, some nice Azure Stack HCI certified hardware that is now sitting in your rack, connected, domain joined, and you can see these machines from your admin workstation. That can be, I don't know, Windows 10 machine, or it can be Windows 7 machine. It depends, right? It's just your management machine. So let's take a look what you will do. I will move now into my management machine, and from there I will do everything step by step. So now I am in my management machine. Actually, I'm also playing this on you because this is my virtual machine in my laptop. But actually, if I would hide this, and if you didn't know that I'm in the machine, it would look like that I'm in some machine at the customer, right? Because I can even change my lab config, and I can change even the domain and everything, so it will look like Microsoft.com, for example. So now the first thing I'll do, I'll open up WSLab page. So just by typing WSLab, I'll find the first link, which is WSLab, obviously. Here I'll go to scenarios. In the scenarios, there is a S2D hyperconverged. In S2D hyperconverged, you will find that there are several files. These files are important because README, this is the text you will see here. Oh, it's not scrolling. Why not? Okay. There's a README that there's a description how it looks like if you deploy the scenario, for example. And here are a few things. There's lab config. This is for lab, but now we are not deploying lab, right? We are deploying real infrastructure. So let's take a look into scenario.ps1. If you open it up, you can see that there is some code. It's easy to read, but not actually easy to copy. So if I'll copy these, there will be probably some extra lines. So what I can do, I can click the raw button. And when I click the raw button, I can select all the text and copy it to the clipboard. So now what I will do, I'll open up the PowerShell. I will not paste it. I just open up the PowerShell just to have it, the icon here and the button. So I can open up the PowerShell ISE, right? And I can also open up the PowerShell as an admin. These are the two things that you need: PowerShell ISE and PowerShell as admin. So PowerShell ISE I will put on the right, and administrator PowerShell I will put on the left. I'll open up and expand the script, close the commands, paste my clipboard, and I'll also close this window so it will be just a script. So let's take a look what's inside the script. Let me collapse the sections with Ctrl+M. Now, what I will do, I'll just describe what's here. So you can see that there is a lab config, for example. Let me expand it, and you can start editing lab config to fit your environment. So maybe your node names will be different, right? So there's a piece of code that will generate the names, because in case you have, for example, 16 nodes, you can type here 16 and then node something. So now it will be node 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can delete this and just say that you would like to have just simply service like this, right? So service like this, and you can fill your names here. It doesn't have to be S2D 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be something you have in your infrastructure. Then cluster name can be, I don't know, my cluster, or your cluster updating role name, my cluster CAU. Then witness type can be cloud or file share, and in case it's cloud, there is commented section that demonstrate you how you should fill it. Like this is your storage account name, your storage account key. Don't worry, it's full of X, so it's not something you can use. Then there are a few variables like, I don't know, CSV balancer to turn it off or turn it on if you want. So disable it, false. By default, I'm not disabling it, but people were disabling it in the Slack, so I decided to just have it here in case someone wants to disable it. If you want to run a Windows update, if you want to configure networking and what should be a cluster IP, and what should be your storage network, so you can rewrite these numbers to fit your environment. So it doesn't have to be like that. Start IP, for your storage network. So whenever I will add SMB adapters, it will start from number 1. But if you did, this is your like 3rd cluster, 4th cluster, then maybe your start IP should be something bigger, right? Something like 10 or something. I don't know. Then real hardware, if you want to configure VMQ not to be on CPU 0, then just set it 2. It also configures the power plan. So just read all of these small things that are these all small comments, because I'm trying to describe everything here. And if you are missing something, just open up the issue on a GitHub and I will, make it better for you. And all the features and everything. So, okay, so this is the lab config, right? So let me just copy this and just paste it by right-clicking into the Powershell window. Then the next step is to install features for the management, because I'm on the Windows client and I know that on the Windows client it will be also installing the Hyper-V Powershell feature. So I'll install it manually, because if you will let the script do it, it will need a reboot. So let me just open up the features. And in the features I'll manually click the Hyper-V management tools. So these management tools will be already there when this piece of script will be running. And this way you will continue running these pieces of code to just add things to your machines, right? So now I will install features to my management machine, but next script will update all servers if Windows Update is true. In my case it was false, so it will not update the servers. And if you would like to know more about how to update your servers, I wrote a scenario how to use WMI to invoke methods to let servers update. Right, so now it's installing capabilities that are needed for managing clusters, so it will take some time. So I will use this time to explain a little bit more what's in the script. But you get an idea, right? You will expand the regions, take a look what's there. Maybe you can skip something if you don't like it, and you can just run line by line. You can modify the scripts, you remove the pieces you don't want to, and then you can write your own pieces that you would like to keep there. Just you can have an inspiration from the script itself. After you will finish all of these scripts, you can save the script as your documentation. Right? Because whenever someone will check your work, how you did deploy the cluster, he can just open up the script and take a look what you did. Like if you configured VMQ, how did you do it? Alright, so in this case, like configuring VMQ will only move all the VMQs from the CPU 0. Right? So it detects hyperthreading, and then it will calculate what is the base processor number. So in case your network is plugged into NUMA node 1, it will start in different core than 0 and 1 or 2, right? So yeah, the script is running. Let me pause it, or let me just go and continue with the slides, because Dave, I guess he would kill me if it would be more than 30 minutes. So, actually finished. So I can, I can be super lazy. What I can do, I can just, just copy everything and just paste it into the script. It will continue, it will hopefully do all the stuff, but it's better to just, not paste everything. You want to paste piece by piece and take a look what the code is doing, review it if everything is green, if there are not any issues, and you basically want to a little bit babysit it, because it's not for automation, not for doing everything for you, right? And you should know what you are doing, right? You don't want to screw up everything. Okay, so this would be this demo. So let me go back to the slides. So the takeaway is that with the scripts, with the scenario script from the WSLab, it's super easy to deploy, because it's super easy to follow. There are regions you can collapse, and you can just piece by piece paste it into the PowerShell, reviewing what's happening, and this way you can deploy your entire infrastructure. It's very easy to document, because with this script you can just save it into the text file and place it anywhere you want, because it's just a text file. So it's super easy. And there is much more. There are over 50 scenarios So just navigate to WSLab scenarios, pick your own. There is something you would like to try, like playing with host guardian service or playing with labs. Just follow the steps and you are good to go. So let's take a look on how to deploy your infrastructure if you do not have any operating system on your S2D nodes. If you do not have any operating system on S2D nodes, and if it's just connected inside the rack somewhere, wired so it's visible from the domain controller, so it can reach, I don't know, DHCP and boot from DHCP, for example, using the PXE. Then you can set up the PXE on the SCVMM or even the different machine you'll decide by just following the SCVMM and bare metal scenario. The preg is to have Windows as admin workstation, domain controller, and some machine for virtual machine manager. It can be also running on a DC, it doesn't matter. For the lab, it's okay. For the production, it's not okay at all. Okay, so what next? Simulation is covered in AKMS/WSLab videos. So if you would like to know more, there's like 1 hour video that covers what is actually happening in the scripts. And the VHD that is being used for deployment can be created with create parent-disks.ps1. Okay, so let's take a look on how it looks like if we'll do setup SCVMM. So now I am in my management machine that is now being used for demonstration how to work with Virtual Machine Manager and with the scenario script from Virtual Machine Manager bare metal deployment. So let's take a look in the Virtual Machine Manager. My Virtual Machine Manager is on the machine that is called DC, so let's connect there. And in meanwhile, I will show you what scenario I will be using. So if you navigate to WSLab, there is scenarios and S3 and bare metal with SCVMM scenario.ps1. There is a script I'll be using. I've copied it into the Powershell ISC. I collapsed all sections, and on the left I can prepare the PowerShell where I will paste all the code. As you can see, there is nothing inside the Virtual Machine Manager. This Virtual Machine Manager is the newest one, 2019. And we will configure with the script everything like networks, infrastructure servers, to have a PXE here, to be ready to deploy the real infrastructure. So check prerequisites. I already have all the prerequisites, so everything is fine. Virtual Machine Manager is installed. All the management tools are installed, so this should be fine. I have some variables, so let's take a look what's here. There's a VMM7 name or WS7 name, so it's my DC. Let me zoom it a little bit. And there are some funky parts that can be modified. Like I have function that validate credentials, so you can provide credentials for your runners account. By default, you will provide in the lab some credentials of the lab admin, right? But in the real world, you should have dedicated credentials for runners account and also dedicated credentials for djoin account. In this case, it will be the same as domain join account, but if you don't want to have it same, then you can just uncomment this section and it will basically ask you again for your domain join credentials. The same for local admin credentials for the machine. Because we have this simplified, we will be just using the same djoin account. So let me copy the variables and I will just paste it into the PowerShell window. Then we will start with some basic configuration. Okay, so now it asks me for credentials. You can mess it up, right? Because there's a function to validate your credentials. So if you type something strange, it will ask you again for the same runners admin credentials. So I can provide my, which will be corp/lab admin ls1 setup exclamation mark, and yeah, and all others will be used the same. You can use the parent VHD. This will be used for bare metal deployment. This will be copied to the library tagged with Windows Server 2019 and used for bare metal deployment. So we can do some basic configuration of the SCVMM. So if I'll just paste it, you will see that virtual machine manager will be, oh, what the heck is happening now? Import module virtual machine manager. Oh, I guess it's probably existing. So let's see how it will work. Let's take a look into the jobs. How the jobs are being run. Okay, so we completed 4 jobs. We created runners account. You can see what was actually running. It was a new SCVM account. No, runners account. It was VMM domain join. It was run by Lab admin. So let's take a look in here in the settings. You will see that we have some runners accounts. Okay, you can continue with the networks, and also we can configure it, also configuring the WDS. So now I'll show you what networks are being created. So if we'll go to networking, there are some basic networks for demonstrating the smallest deployment possible, that you have a data center network where you have one management IP pool and storage IP pool in this data center network, which is located inside, in this case, and Seattle DC. This is configurable in variables. You can provide whatever name you want. You will have management and storage network, and in the management network is in VLAN 0, while the storage network is in VLAN 3. You have a port profiles here already because it was configured with PowerShell. There's a VNIC for management, RDMA and VMQ. There's physical port profile for Seattle, and there's a logical switch that has all the virtual ports and uplinks configured. Right? Just pasting a script. So this is just an idea what you can deploy, and you can just modify it and have it for your real infrastructure. Now it will copy the files into my library share. It will set up WDS server, and it will tag the image with the proper ID and prepare the physical computer profile. The physical computer profile is not yet here. It will be there in a few moments as a VHD probably. Oh, it will be here in a few moments because now it's being copied. So this takes some time. Before it will finish, I'll talk through a little bit more. This is for simulation, where I will simulate some machines. So I will create some more VMs, but in your case, if this would be real infrastructure, you don't have to prepare these, right? Because you have real servers. So you can skip this section and continue to deploy hosts. You can either define what hosts you have by having this hash table, so you can fill out all the data about your BMC addresses. But in case you don't have BMC, you can ask someone to turn on the machines one by one, and this will create a record in the event log. I will read this event log and create a hash table like here that will consist of SMBIOS GUIDs of these servers that booted. So if one server will boot, that will be in the log that this server with this GUID and with this MAC address tried to boot. So I'll compose this hash table where I have name of the servers, IP address, because I have here a start IP address, so I'll start with some IP address, and for every machine that boots, I'll create this hash table. So any machine that attempts to boot, I will have a hash table of these machines. You can modify then the script that you want to, for example, grab only the 5 minutes old messages and parse it. So it's up to you. Then you will create the HCP reservations, so your machines will get the IP you want. Then you will configure, I don't know, NTP server, so when the machine will boot, it will have proper time synchronized from NTP server, and then you will just start the deployment. The rest of the process is oh, there's something wrong. Okay, the rest of the process is documented with a PowerShell script, with a video, which is located on the YouTube. I don't want to cover everything. I just wanted to give you an idea that these scripts can be just grabbed as they are, a little bit modified, I guess I should also a little bit fix it, right? Because looks like there's something a little bit wrong about the connecting to the DC. Kerberos delegation probably failed. I probably failed setting up WDS. So yeah, I will have to review the script again, what I did wrong. But at least you have some ideas where to start with your journey of deploying physical service. It works. I always, like when I do go to customers, I recycle these scripts, and with these scripts and with the customer info, I merge it. I prepare original config for the customer. First of all, I will simulate it in the WSLab, and then if we'll agree that the network should look like this and that, and host profile should look like this and that, the drivers should be there. Drivers should be tagged, for example. This is something I didn't mention, that if you have real drivers, you can do tagging. It's commented here. So if you open up the physical computer profile, there's other drivers, so you can copy drivers into the library and then grab the folder which contains the name like DL whatever. Then you can set the driver package tag and then use this tag for real deployment. So there is a tag commented driver matching tag for the pod profile. So these are the small things that are already in the script, and you can immediately use it for the real world environment deployments. There's one more thing I wanted to demonstrate, which is if you have WSLab running in the laptop, you can connect the DC that is running inside the WSLab to external network. And the DC, because it's when it's deployed, you have DHCP there, you have WDS, you have working virtual machine manager, and you have everything. You can just plug it to the real switch, communicate with the real service, and these real service can be deployed. So for example, if you want to deploy something for your customer, you can modify your lab config, set it up DC from the scratch, set up the DC with your custom domain name, custom organization unit names, custom accounts, and then you can deploy the real infrastructure. After you will deploy the real infrastructure, you can manage the snapshots on the DC, move it to the new infrastructure, and have it there for to live with your customer, right? Probably you want to a little bit tweak it. You want to have DC, and then you want to have a virtual machine manager on separate computer. Maybe you want to script it a little bit more because maybe you want to have virtual machine manager and the SQL and then WDS on separate computers. But this is probably the good start where you can easily deploy something real. It's like a POC. Maybe it will probably need some more work, but it's actually working. Isn't that awesome? I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope that this gave you some more insight of why these scripts are important, because of these scripts I learned a lot. I also am sharing it because I hope that you will also learn a lot from my work, and you can then continue. You can even contribute on the GitHub. You can do pull requests. I'll definitely merge it. Maybe I'll do some modification, but don't hesitate. Ask for merge, and I'll merge it. Your contributions are very welcomed. So I hope you enjoy these MVP days. There will be probably another sessions. So enjoy the rest of the day and have a great day.